Picture this. You're at a backyard barbecue and someone tells you they'd never spend serious money on a car. They're proud of their $3,000 beater, confident they're outsmarting everyone who buys new. You nod politely, but then you ask them a simple question. How much do they spend on gas each month? $200? Maybe a bit more when they take road trips? Sounds reasonable, right? But here's where the math gets interesting. $200 a month becomes $2,400 a year. They've been driving this car for over a decade, maybe 11 or 12 years. That's nearly $30,000 just in fuel, and we haven't even started talking about oil changes, brake pads, transmission fluid, and any of the other maintenance that slowly drains your bank account without you really noticing. Suddenly, that $3,000 bargain doesn't look quite so cheap anymore. They just paid for it differently, spreading the cost across years of gas station visits instead of one lump sum at a dealership. But then comes the predictable counterargument. Even if they switch to one of those weird electric cars, their electricity bill would skyrocket. And besides, isn't the power grid mostly running on dirty energy anyway? It's the same objection you hear over and over, and honestly, it's not entirely wrong. Charging an electric vehicle does increase your home energy consumption, and depending on where you live, that electricity might be coming from natural gas or coal plants. But what if there was a third option? Something that breaks free from both the gas station and the power grid. What if you could drive a vehicle that pulls its energy directly from the sun, requiring almost nothing from you except a place to park it during the day? No, you won't be extracting gasoline from thin air, but you also won't need to plug into the wall or wait in line at a charging station. The future isn't about choosing between gas and electricity, it's about efficiency so extreme that the old rules stop applying altogether. A few weeks back, I sat down for an interview with Chris Anthony, one of the co-founders of Aptera Motors, and I'm still processing some of the information he shared. That conversation was packed with details that genuinely shifted how I think about transportation, and even though the full interview runs over 30 minutes, there's one section that's been occupying my thoughts ever since. It's about a vehicle that most people aren't paying attention to yet, a variant that didn't get the flashiest headlines or the most pre-orders, but might actually end up being the most revolutionary thing Aptera produces. Right now, the company is deep in the funding stage, working to secure the capital they need for production tooling. They recently received a substantial grant from California, and there are Department of Energy loans in the pipeline, plus a steady stream of new investors coming aboard. The momentum is real, and it's building fast. Their plan is to start production with the Launch Edition Aptera, which makes perfect sense because it was the most popular configuration among their reservation holders. The specs on this thing are genuinely impressive. You're looking at a starting price around $33,000 for a vehicle that delivers 400 miles of total range, plus an additional 40 miles of solar-generated range per day when conditions are sunny. It's all-wheel drive, hits 60 miles per hour in 4 seconds, and it's the first non-Tesla vehicle in North America to come equipped with the NACS charging connector straight from the factory. On paper, it's a home run, the kind of vehicle that should make traditional automakers nervous. But here's what keeps circling back in my mind. Aptera has already announced what they're building after the Launch Edition, and it's not a bigger, more expensive, more luxurious model. Unlike so many EV startups that begin with a $180,000 Dream Edition targeting wealthy early adopters, Aptera is intentionally moving in the opposite direction. They're going cheaper, more accessible, more focused on the mass market. Now, this budget-friendly variant wasn't the most popular pre-order option, which makes sense because people get excited about maximum range and premium features. But I genuinely believe this lower-priced model might be the secret weapon in Aptera's lineup, the underdog that nobody's fully appreciating yet. During our interview, Chris mentioned something that made my jaw drop. The smallest battery pack option on the Aptera will likely achieve better than 100 watt-hours per mile in terms of efficiency. If you're familiar with electric vehicle energy consumption, you'll immediately recognize how insane that number is. To put it in perspective, when I drive my Model 3 extremely carefully, hypermiling down gentle slopes with the most feather-light pressure on the accelerator, I might manage to hit around 200 watt-hours per mile. That's with perfect conditions and deliberate effort to maximize efficiency. Aptera is targeting half of that as their baseline across the entire vehicle range. The original plan called for the entry-level model to have approximately a 25 kilowatt-hour battery pack, but Chris revealed they're still negotiating with suppliers and evaluating different options. There's a real possibility they might move forward with something closer to an 18 kilowatt-hour pack instead. At first glance, that might sound like a downgrade, right? If we assume 100 watt-hours per mile, an 18 kilowatt-hour battery only gets you 180 miles of range. That's not terrible, but it's not exactly inspiring either, especially in a market where people are accustomed to comparing range numbers like they're comparing scores in a video game. But here's where the significance of achieving sub-100 watt-hours per mile becomes absolutely critical to understanding what Aptera is really building. We already know the launch edition Aptera weighs less than 2,000 pounds, despite packing a 45 kilowatt-hour battery. The battery is by far the heaviest component in any electric vehicle, so if you start cutting that battery down to less than half its original size, the weight savings become dramatic. The entry-level Aptera could potentially come in around 1,500 pounds, maybe even lighter. And here's the beautiful paradox. Because the vehicle weighs so little while maintaining that incredibly aerodynamic teardrop shape, it might still achieve over 200 miles of EPA estimated range without needing a 20-plus kilowatt-hour battery pack. The weight reduction actually improves efficiency even further, creating a positive feedback loop where less battery means less weight, which means better efficiency, which means you need less battery. It's the opposite of the vicious cycle you see in traditional vehicles, where adding features means adding weight, which means worse fuel economy, which means a bigger gas tank, which adds more weight. This efficiency improvement doesn't just make the vehicle more affordable by requiring a smaller battery, it fundamentally transforms the entire ownership experience in ways that are difficult to fully grasp until you start running the numbers. Aptera has mentioned they're working to push efficiency below 100 watt-hours per mile, with internal discussions around achieving something closer to 80 watt-hours per mile. To give you a frame of reference that makes this tangible, that level of efficiency translates to well over 350 miles per gallon equivalent. Think about that for a second. The battery pack inside my laptop right now, which powers a thin piece of aluminum and silicon, could theoretically power an entire vehicle capable of carrying 2 adults plus 32 cubic feet of cargo in the rear bed. If you could somehow harness all the energy in my MacBook battery and transfer it to this Aptera, you could move 2 people and their luggage over a mile down the road, along with running the HVAC system, the touchscreen display, all the infotainment features, the lights, everything. That's the level of efficiency we're discussing. The implications for cost of ownership are staggering. This is why I genuinely believe the entry-level model could become wildly popular among people shopping for secondary commuter vehicles. Aptera and their community of supporters have always been transparent about what this 3-wheeled, 2-seat vehicle is designed to be. It's not trying to replace your 3-row SUV or your F-150 pickup truck. This isn't about being your only vehicle or handling every single transportation need you might have. It's optimized for a specific use case, moving 1 or 2 people with some cargo as efficiently as physically possible. When you're driving solo to work, or heading to the grocery store with your spouse, or taking a weekend road trip with just 1 passenger, why would you burn fuel moving around 3 empty seats and 5,000 pounds of steel? The Aptera is asking a different question. What's the minimum amount of energy required to accomplish this specific transportation task? As long as that use case can displace enough gasoline consumption from your larger vehicle, the Aptera starts paying for itself almost immediately. And here's where it gets even more interesting. I suspect Aptera is going to continue pushing the full solar package on all their models, which means 700 watts of solar panels completely covering the vehicle's surface. On this super efficient variant with the smaller 18 kilowatt-hour battery pack, you're no longer looking at just 40 miles of range per day from solar alone. Now you're approaching 50 miles of range added back every single day from the sun alone, which represents over 10% of the total battery capacity being replenished just from parking the vehicle outside. The average American drives between 30 and 40 miles per day, which means for a huge percentage of drivers, this vehicle would rarely, if ever, need to be plugged in. Even if it only has a 200-mile battery pack, that's still more than sufficient for the vast majority of daily driving needs. Sure, it won't work for every single use case or replace every vehicle in every household, but consider what it eliminates from your life. You don't need to make space for it in your garage. In fact, you're incentivized to leave it outside where it can charge from sunlight. You don't need to install an expensive Level 2 home charger or get quotes from electricians about running a NEMA 1450 outlet to your garage. You probably won't even need to plug the thing in most days. And even if you live in a cloudy climate or you're dealing with winter months where range drops and solar production decreases, you can charge it from a standard 110-volt household outlet. Because the vehicle is so remarkably efficient, you'd be getting somewhere between 16 and 18 miles of range added back per hour from a basic wall outlet, not the pathetic 10 or 13 miles you get with a typical EV. You don't even need to seek out specific DC fast charging stations. With a battery pack this small, even a basic charge point Level 2 station, many of which are free to use, becomes perfectly adequate. If you're pulling 7 kilowatts from a public Level 2 charger, that's 7 kilowatt hours in 1 hour. At 11 to 12 miles per kilowatt hour instead of the usual 4 or 5, you're looking at 80+ miles of range added back in 60 minutes from a charger that people normally consider too slow to bother with. Slower chargers are inherently cheaper than fast chargers, both in terms of infrastructure cost and what you pay per kilowatt hour, so the efficiency advantage compounds even further when you're out on the road. The entry-level price for this super lightweight, super aerodynamic, super efficient Aptera would likely come in below their original $26,000 target. For many people, this would be a vehicle they literally never plug in, which is why I keep thinking about it as possibly the cheapest enclosed vehicle you could realistically own and operate. I'm not comparing it to electric motorcycles like the Saunders, which maxes out at 60 or 80 miles of range and requires you to wear a motorcycle helmet while being exposed to the elements. The Aptera is still a proper vehicle with a roof, windshield wipers, climate control, weatherproofing, multiple seats, and substantial cargo capacity. But if you're financing this vehicle, you might put $12,000 or $15,000 down, and then your monthly payment could be roughly equivalent to what you're already spending on gasoline for a conventional car. Once that loan is paid off, you still own the vehicle, and now you're driving around essentially for free. Your only recurring costs are registration and insurance, while fuel costs drop to nearly zero. It doesn't require the insane upfront investment you'd need to power a Tesla for free using solar. You'd have to buy a $40,000 to $50,000 vehicle and then install a $40,000 to $60,000 solar panel system on your house. Yes, that system also powers your home, but you're still looking at somewhere between $80,000 and $120,000 in total upfront investment. The Aptera could get you to solar-powered transportation with maybe a $10,000 down payment. It's a completely different entry point into renewable transportation. Now, I fully understand this isn't the vehicle you're loading 3 kids into for a family vacation, but I think there's an enormous market of people who've never considered owning a secondary vehicle specifically because of the additional expenses. You need somewhere to park it, somewhere to store it. You've got to maintain the transmission, pay for fuel, deal with oil changes and brake jobs. The list of hassles feels endless. The Aptera flips that equation entirely. I think it could convince a significant number of people who currently drive alone in massive vehicles, which is unfortunately the norm in America, where you see someone piloting a 7-seat SUV to their office and back just because that happens to be the vehicle they own. The Aptera offers an alternative that actually makes financial sense as a dedicated commuter. And once these vehicles start hitting the used market and prices begin dropping on models with some mileage on them, I genuinely believe Aptera will undercut every other electric vehicle on the market in terms of total cost of ownership. The combination of a tiny battery pack, extreme aerodynamic efficiency, lightweight composite body panels, and the potential for over 50 miles of solar range per day creates something the market hasn't really seen before. The more I think about it, the more I realize the market for this vehicle might be far larger than people currently understand. There's a tendency to dismiss three-wheeled vehicles or two-seaters as niche products for enthusiasts. But when you start breaking down the economics and the use case, it starts making sense for a really broad audience. Anyone who has a commute, anyone who frequently drives alone or with one passenger, anyone who's tired of watching their paycheck disappear into a gas tank, anyone who wants to reduce their environmental impact without waiting years for the financial payoff. The efficiency unlocks possibilities that simply don't exist with conventional vehicles or even with typical electric cars that still weigh 4,000 or 5,000 pounds and consume 2 or 3 times as much energy per mile. So I'm genuinely curious what you think about this. Would a cheaper Aptera priced around $23,000 or $24,000 with 220 miles of range be interesting to you? Or are you still planning to road trip frequently enough that you really need that longer 400-mile range variant? I'd love to hear your perspective on whether the entry-level efficiency-focused model appeals to you or if you're prioritizing maximum range regardless of cost. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know how you're thinking about this trade-off between upfront cost, efficiency, and range. And as always, huge thanks to everyone who supports this channel directly. It makes a massive difference in helping us continue producing this kind of content. And honestly, just watching and engaging with these videos helps more than you probably realize. Thanks again, and I hope you have an excellent rest of your day.